Willkommen. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Sean Huggins and this is React with Hugs. Thank you so much for being here. So, the German election just wrapped up a few days ago. I need to see what's going on with this thing because that's very important. So, I have a video here. Germany's election results explained. Pretty self-explanatory. This is from EU Made Simple. Linked to the original video in the description as always. But let's explore the results of the German election. Los geht's.
Germany has just voted, and the stakes couldn't be higher. With a struggling economy, rising tensions with Trump, and a war in Ukraine, this election is more important than ever. And the people agreed, with a record voter turnout of over 83%.
Holy crap, what is
Olaf
that
Scholz's
place?
center-left SPD had its worst result in their history, while the far-right AfD is celebrating massive wins.
Oh
In
boy.
this video, we break down the results, the potential coalitions, and who might be Germany's next chancellor. So,
Okay.
who came out on top? The clear winner is Friedrich Merz and his conservative center-right CDU-CSU coalition, with 28.6%. That's a 4.4 percentage point jump from 2021, giving them a solid 208 seats.
Whoa.
Now, the CDU-CSU is actually a coalition between two parties, the CDU and their Bavarian sister party, the CSU. And throughout this video, we'll refer to them using the common German term, the Union. Hot on their heels with 20.8% is Alice Weidel from the
Whoa.
far-right AfD.
Dang. Plus 10% for the AfD? Oh, damn.
This is a historic win for them,
Holy crap.
up by 10.4 points, landing them 151 seats. In third place, we've got Olaf Scholz from the center-left
Whoa.
SPD with just 16.4%, a crushing blow and the end of his run as chancellor, with only 121 seats.
Olaf.
The Greens, led by Robert Habeck, came in fourth with 11.6%, winning 85 seats. And in a very surprising twist, the far-left Die Linke secured 8.8%,
Oh, wow.
winning 64 seats.
Isn't this the... Is this the new party that was just made like a couple years ago? That's surprising actually then.
A
That's the
huge
case.
comeback, considering they were polling at around 3% only a few
Dang.
months ago. Next, we have the economically left but socially right-wing BSW at 4.9%. And rounding out the list, Christian Lindner's centrist FDP with 4.3%. Now, there's some big takeaways straight away. The outgoing government, known as the Traffic Light Coalition, made up of the red SPD, yellow
Dang, they got
FDP, and well,
destroyed.
the green Greens, had an absolute nightmare evening. They lost by a massive margin, showcasing just how unhappy people are with Germany's current course. In fact, the FDP did so poorly that they fell below the 5% threshold. The newly formed
Whoa.
BSW suffered a similar fate, missing the crucial
Dang.
5% mark by just 0.03%.
Oh, so that's the newly formed one. Okay. Wow. So close though. Crazy.
Yes, literally only a couple thousand votes. It was a nail-biting moment throughout the entire night, as a BSW breakthrough would have significantly narrowed the coalition options. But more on that later. Coalition governments are very common in Germany, as no party really ever wins an outright majority. This brings us to the second part of the video, Germany's next possible coalition. In Germany, any
here we
party
go.
can technically start coalition talks to find a majority. However, it's customary for the party with the most seats and the strongest bargaining power to take the lead. And in this election, that means the Union will be the ones calling the shots and looking for partners first. And we see three possible options, all including the
All right,
Union.
here we
And
go.
we'll start with the most controversial, the Black-Blue coalition between the Union and the AfD.
I mean, that seems the most obvious to me. They're both at least right-leaning, if not far right. And they would have the majority then already, just from that, I think, right?
As the two largest parties, they would have a solid majority of 359 seats.
Crazy.
And let's be honest, on some topics like migration, the Union and AfD do share some hardline positions, particularly on border controls and deportations. So is this scenario
doggy.
actually likely though? Let's hear from the man himself.
Dass wir mit der AfD zusammenarbeiten. Ich will das ausdrücklich hier noch einmal klarstellen. Wir werden das nicht tun. Uns trennen in den Sachfragen Welten, was Europa betrifft, die NATO betrifft. den Euro betrifft, Russland betrifft, Amerika betrifft. Es gibt keine Gemeinsamkeiten zwischen AfD und Union.
So yes, this coalition is highly unlikely. Public support isn't exactly overwhelming either. And Merz's union has long positioned the AfD as its biggest political enemy.
Really? I don't understand the left to the right spectrum, because you would think if he is on the right, you know, right-leaning, his party is right-leaning, then yeah, it's not going to agree 100% or maybe not that much with AfD, who's far right, but you'd expect them to be closer than some other parties, like the far left at least, and he's saying they're the number one enemy. Crazy. Interesting.
On to option 2, a Union SPD coalition, also called the Grand Coalition, with 329 seats,
oh, just
a razor-thin majority. And if this sounds familiar, it's because it is. Out of Merkel's 16 years in power, 12 were spent governing with this exact coalition.
Whoa.
But policy-wise, there are some hurdles. The biggest sticking points? Migration, and most importantly, spending and debt.
Well, the good news is they can cut down on their spending by not having to hire a new barber because they have the same exact hairstyle. So that's great. And actually, they're cutting costs by only having to shave half of their head. So already cutting costs for the taxpayers. So that's good. Cutting spending. Very good.
The union wants to cut bureaucracy and reduce government spending to finance tax cuts, military investments, and support for Ukraine. Meanwhile, the SPD insists on protecting social programs, like the Bürgergeld initiative, and wants to borrow more, even pushing to reform Germany's debt brake. But despite these differences, public opinion is strongest for this combination, and in our eyes, it's probably the most likely outcome. This brings us to option 3, the Kenya coalition. That's the Union, the SPD, and the Greens, with a very solid 414 seats.
Wow.
That's definitely a lot of seats, offering much more breathing space than option 2. However, it comes with some serious downsides. Remember Germany's previous three-party government? It ended in deadlock, and this coalition could face the same challenges, since it would require a high degree of political flexibility. These three parties have starkly different priorities, and getting them to agree on a governing program would be complicated, to say the least. But the biggest roadblock, it comes from Bavaria, one of Germany's most powerful states. Markus Söder, the Bavarian minister-president and leader of the CSU, the CDU's sister party, is deeply opposed to this coalition. And when it comes to Robert Habeck, the Greens' lead candidate, it feels personal.
Sorry, das ist einfach inkompetent. Robert Habeck kann keine Wirtschaftspolitik. Warum soll Robert Habeck weiter in der Regierung bleiben? Mit der CSU gibt's kein Schwarz-Grün, kein Robert Habeck mehr als Wirtschaftsminister. Am besten bitte in die Opposition, denn da gehören die Grünen hin.
That's a very hard no from the CSU. But while Söder's influence is strong, it's not absolute. If Merz really pushes for this coalition, the CSU could fall in line, yet very reluctantly. Public opinion also lies at a dismal 8% of support. So while not impossible, a Kenya coalition government is looking very unlikely.
I do like how the coalitions have names, though. That's very fun for me.
So these are the only coalition options that are realistic. And here at EU Made Simple, we're betting on the Union and SPD as the most likely outcome.
Like that would probably happen.
And now, what about Germany's next chancellor? Here's how it works. In Germany, each party puts forward a Spitzenkandidat.
Spitzenkandidat. That's fun to say.
Basically, their candidate for chancellor before the election. And typically, the party that wins the most votes and successfully forms a coalition gets to put forward their Spitzenkandidat as chancellor. In this case, that's Friedrich Merz from the Union. So if the Union manages to form a successful coalition, it's highly likely that Merz will be the one leading Germany. So, who is he? Friedrich Merz isn't a new face in German politics. In fact, he was once seen as the rising star of the CDU, until he had a very public falling out with Angela Merkel. Back in the early 2000s,
a rising young star takes it personally.
Merz was ousted by Merkel as she consolidated power within the party.
Dang.
The two were known to have sharp ideological differences. While Merkel moved the Union towards the center, embracing more liberal social policies, Merz held firm on his conservative, pro-business stance. This led to a bitter feud, and Merz eventually left politics. But he didn't just disappear. Merz went on to have a highly successful career in business, becoming a corporate lawyer and investment manager, even serving as the chairman of BlackRock Germany, the world's largest asset manager.
Wait. BlackRock? BlackRock as in the BlackRock? Like BlackRock? Like chairman of the BlackRock? And he's pro-business? Well, I think that it's starting to make more sense to me now. What's going on here?
But after years in the private sector, Merz made a comeback, positioning himself as a conservative alternative to Merkel's centrism, promising to strengthen the economy, reduce bureaucracy, and taking a tougher stance on migration.
Reducing bureaucracy for big business, probably. Strengthen the economy by allowing big businesses more freedom and flexibility to make more money, probably. I'm starting to see the writing on the wall now. It's all making sense. The picture is coming together. So it seems like maybe there is some similarities here. Let's just say some big business friendly similarities between potentially what's going on in Germany right now and maybe America. Hopefully not to the same extent, but we'll just say big business friendly. We'll call it
Merz
that.
and the union are also staunchly pro-EU. And Merz has made it very clear that he wants Germany to step up, to take on more responsibility in Europe and on the global stage.
All right. Well, I think that was a good little overview of, what happened in the German election. I'm curious to see how it plays out, though, because it's very important. Hopefully it works out well for the average citizen. And, hopefully people can learn from America's mistakes and not give total and complete power to just the already rich and wealthy and the companies and all that stuff. And hopefully look after the actual average person in Germany, which is obviously the majority of people mathematically. So I feel like that should be the purpose of government, is to help the most people possible. So hopefully that happens. But I don't know. It's hard to say. But I guess that's what I got you guys for. So what do you think? How do you feel about the results of the election? Do you think this will be good for Germany, bad for Germany, no change, or I don't know, something else? Let me know your thoughts. Leave your mustard down in the comment section below. But that's all the time that I have for today. So thank you guys so much for being here. And as always, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.